What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Friday, February 6th, 2026, and I have some breaking news to share with you guys. Right now it is 17:29 Eastern Time here in the United States, and I wanted to update you guys on the situation with Iran. We also have some major breaking news with regards to UFOs and alien disclosure coming out of the Trump administration. Before I get into that, I want to just update you with some of the latest information that I have on Iran. So, the U.S. State Department has released numerous travel warnings for Americans in Iran over the last 24 hours. Here is a repost of their security alert for Iran. They posted this on X at 1:28 p.m. Eastern Time today, and it says here, Iran: increased security measures, road closures, public transportation disruptions, and internet blockages are ongoing. The government of Iran continues to restrict access to mobile, landline, and national internet networks. Airlines continue to limit or cancel flights to and from Iran. U.S. citizens should expect continued internet outages, plan alternate means of communication, and if safe to do so, consider departing Iran by land to Armenia or Turkey, okay? And then they also posted this one last night. This is from their actual website. Look what it says here, highlighted in red: leave Iran now, okay? So it says here in bold, U.S. citizens should expect continued internet outages, plan alternative means of communication, and if safe to do so, consider departing Iran by land to Armenia or Turkey. Actions to take. Look what it says here. Leave Iran now. Have a plan for departing Iran that does not rely on U.S. government help. Flight cancellations and disruptions are possible with little warning. Check directly with your airlines for updates. If you cannot leave, find a secure location within your residence or another safe building. Have a supply of food, water, medicine, and other essential items. Okay, so this to me is a red flag. They're telling people to leave Iran now and to find a secure location and have a supply of food and water and essentials. So that's like basically telling Americans, listen, something's about to go down, you better get the heck out of there, or if not, you better be ready to bunker in, hunker in, bug in, whatever. Okay, so this is huge. It says here, monitor local media for breaking news. Be prepared to adjust your plans. Keep your phone charged and maintain communication with family and friends to inform them of your status. So this is very, very serious, guys. And right now, for some reason, we have a large number of U.S. sub-hunters off the coast of Seattle. And if you guys are not aware, we have our most important submarine base in the Seattle area. We have Bangor Kitsap, which is home of most of our nuclear-armed submarines, and more importantly, it's home to our Trident missile storage facility. This is where we store all of our Trident missiles for our nuclear-armed submarines, our submarine-launched ICBMs for nuclear war. So 3 sub-hunters off the coast of the Olympic Peninsula, and they're flying really low, almost like they're looking for something here. Very interesting. And last night and early this morning, we had a very interesting flight of a nuke sniffer from the UK. It took off from Mildenhall, and look what it did. It flew in this weird zigzag pattern through the western Mediterranean near the Strait of Gibraltar, and it flew really low at times. You can see here just 5,000 feet, which is basically 1 mile above the ocean, okay, between 5 and 15,000 feet. So it was trying to get a bead on something here in the Western Mediterranean, potentially some kind of nuclear-armed submarine that may have passed through the Strait of Gibraltar, potentially Russian. So this is very, very concerning. Maybe the Russians have moved a nuclear-armed sub into the Med because they're expecting us to strike Iran. This is extremely unusual. And the spokesperson for Iran's Ministry of Foreign Affairs made it clear that from Iran's viewpoint, the negotiations held today were limited solely to reaching an agreement on the nuclear issue. And so if you guys are not aware, they had that meeting earlier this morning, and initial results of the meeting are not really showing any kind of major breakthroughs. Iran's foreign minister states that talks were a good start, saying that both sides almost agreed to continue the talks, but instead decided to discuss the next meeting later via Oman. He said the focus of the talks was to discuss a framework for continuing talks. Okay, so no breakthroughs today in these talks. Okay, they just discussed potentially continuing the talks, but no concrete date for the next meetings. Okay, and Israeli Channel 12 is reporting that estimates in Israel indicate that the negotiations with Iran have not changed the position of the U.S. and Israel. And a regional diplomat told Reuters the talks did not address Iran's ballistic missile capabilities, and that Iran insisted on uranium enrichment during the talks. So Iran basically was pushing that, oh, we have the right to enrich uranium, which the U.S. is not going to agree to that. The regional diplomat also told Reuters that Iran has shown flexibility regarding discussion of the level and percentage of enrichment. And the French foreign minister said today that Iran is a destabilizing force and this must end. And the U.S. officially placed a 25% tariff on any nation purchasing goods or services from Iran. And the New York Times shared new satellite images showing Iranian activity at nuclear sites. So this picture shows the Iranians burying the entrances to their nuclear site. Okay, so Iran is definitely getting ready for an attack by the U.S. and Israel. They're burying the entrances to their nuclear facilities again. And Iran's Press TV says one of the country's most advanced long-range ballistic missiles, the Khorramshahr 4, has been deployed to an underground missile bunker. Press TV says Khorramshahr 4 has a range of 2,000 kilometers and is capable of carrying a 1,500 kilogram warhead. So Iran is already moving their long-range missiles underground, okay, in anticipation of strikes. And Israeli media is reporting that the U.S. may soon present Iran with an ultimatum, either an agreement to U.S. terms or war. And the U.S. is working on transition plans for Iran, even as talks concluded in Oman, sources told The National. The Trump administration wants to convene a meeting of Iranian opposition figures in Florida this weekend. Okay, so Trump is basically trying to do what he did with Venezuela, except Iran is a much different situation. Iran has massive mountains. They have a huge military. They have thousands of missiles, hundreds of bunkers in those mountains. So this is going to have to be a major military operation. And like I reported yesterday, there was a flight, a U.S. Transportation Command flight of a 747 passenger plane that flew to the Middle East from the U.S. Now, the Transportation Command is a logistics command of the U.S. military that uses private jets to move equipment to war zones. Okay, they did that with Ukraine in the first year of the war there. Well, they're moving hundreds of troops apparently to the Middle East in preparation for this campaign. My guess is they're going to have boots on the ground in Iran to secure the government facilities, the military facilities. They might be trying to send special ops into these nuclear sites and missile sites to seize control of them, and also to seize control of the major government buildings in Tehran. And the USS Abraham Lincoln was spotted in the Arabian Sea off the coast of Oman yesterday. So it's still right off the coast of Oman and Iran, just out of range of Iran's anti-ship missiles. And a third U.S. electronic warfare plane was tracked flying to the Middle East from Crete. And there are still U.S. naval resources that are more than a week away from being in position for a possible attack on Iran, a source told Politico. I don't know if I believe that. That could just be disinformation. And on Thursday, Ayatollah Zarghani, the former head of Iran's state broadcasting organization, warned that the Strait of Hormuz will be the place of massacre and hell. Iran will show that the Strait of Hormuz has historically belonged to Iran. The only thing the Americans can think of is playing with their vessels and moving them from one place to another. Wow. So this is a very powerful figure in Iranian society, and he's saying that the Strait of Hormuz will be a place of massacre and hell. Wow, that is absolutely insane. And the House Armed Services Committee will receive a classified briefing on the Ukraine conflict early next week. And the New York Times reported that the Ukraine-Russia talks this week in Abu Dhabi ended with little progress and hints of a dead end. And Reuters, citing sources, reported that America seeks quick elections in Ukraine and a peace agreement in March. Wow. And we're hearing that the U.S. approved the sale of $185 million in military equipment to Ukraine. And the Kremlin said today that there are no current plans for a conversation between Putin and Trump. And the U.S. and Russia have agreed to reestablish high-level military-to-military dialogue between the two countries, which was halted in 2021, preceding Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Today's announcement comes amid trilateral peace negotiations Wednesday and Thursday in Abu Dhabi between Russia and Ukraine, mediated by the U.S., which included talks between senior Russian and Ukrainian military officials, alongside the commander of U.S. European Command, General Alexis Grinkevich. So very interesting. The U.S. and Russia is they're gonna reestablish talks at the highest level of their militaries. Interesting. And the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said Russia is conducting undisclosed contacts with some European leaders. And the U.S., Russia, and Ukraine reached an agreement to exchange 314 prisoners during trilateral negotiations in Abu Dhabi this week. And video footage from Russia in Belgorod captured 3 HIMARS rockets striking the Belgorod thermal power plant in Russia. And a recent European war game suggests NATO could be dangerously slow and divided if Russia launched a limited incursion against Lithuania, especially using gray zone tactics like humanitarian pretexts rather than a full invasion. In the scenario, U.S. hesitation, German indecision, and Allied caution allowed Russia to seize key terrain within days using relatively small forces. Wow. Okay, so very concerning for Lithuania there. And the U.S. State Department made a comment on the New START treaty, which expired yesterday. That was the last nuclear arms control treaty between the U.S. and Russia. And the State Department said it is no longer useful after Russia has expanded its nuclear arsenal. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens, but it looks like we are now re-entering the early days of the Cold War. The nuclear arms race has restarted, and the U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth will not participate in the NATO defense ministers meeting on February 12th. Very interesting. And what you're looking at here are two C-5 Super Galaxies. These are the largest cargo planes in the U.S. military that flew from Fort Hood, Texas, all the way to Ramstein, and then from Ramstein went to Saudi Arabia to the base that we have there. So they were carrying a massive amount of equipment into Saudi Arabia, potentially air defenses or various types of weaponry. And then there were two more C-5 Super Galaxies that left the U.S. late last night, one from Dover and one from Fort Hood. So we're still moving a massive amount of equipment to the Middle East. And here we have a U.S. reconnaissance plane that was patrolling the coast of Cuba last night. It was doing loops right off the coast of Havana, the capital of Cuba. There was also a U.S. rivet joint 2 days ago that patrolled the entire northern coast of Cuba. So potentially Cuba is going to collapse soon after Venezuela and Iran, which would be a massive strategic blow to Russia and China. And I wanted to read something interesting to you about UFO disclosure. This was reported by the British Daily Mail. The Trump administration has given the green light to reveal the secret UFO facilities to one of the leading voices in Congress calling for full disclosure of alien life. U.S. Republican Congressman Eric Burleson of Missouri revealed that he has requested and been granted access to secure locations such as Area 51, which have decades-old ties to UFOs and secret government projects. Speaking on the ALN podcast, Burleson added that the request to President Trump and his staff included visiting U.S. military bases and facilities where evidence suggests unidentified craft, materials, bodies, or archives allegedly exist. Burleson is a member of the Congressional Oversight Committee involved in the ongoing investigation into unidentified aerial phenomenon, commonly known as UFOs. Burleson has previously claimed President Trump has been fully briefed on the existence of aliens, UFOs, recovered by the military since the 1940s, and alien-human hybrids allegedly living on Earth today. Now, as Trump insiders have allegedly leaked that the White House is planning to reveal what America knows about extraterrestrials by July, the UAP committee may soon have the physical proof of non-human intelligence in their hands. The congressman revealed the White House has told the DOD to make it happen. The extent at which they've been involved is literally just saying to the Department of Defense that we're backing his request. Do what you can to make it happen. There is reportedly an object that is not in this country that is so large it cannot be moved, and they've built an entire building around it, Burleson said during the January 30 podcast. The congressman noted that this facility outside the U.S. was classified, so he was unable to reveal its exact location, but it was on his list of places he had requested to visit as part of the committee's investigation. Wow. So this congressman on the UFO committee has requested from the Trump administration physical access to some of these bases where UFOs have allegedly been stored, like Area 51, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. But then he mentions some kind of large object not in this country that can't be moved, so they had to build a building around it. That's very, very interesting. It sounds like maybe a pyramid or maybe a crashed saucer somewhere, maybe in Antarctica. It got stuck in the ice and they can't get it out, or they don't want to damage it. Very, very concerning. He said it's going to take a lot to make that happen, but that may be the final destination. Burleson said during the interview that he started out as a UFO skeptic, but was convinced these phenomenon were real after listening to whistleblower David Grush's public interview shortly after entering Congress in early 2023. The Missouri Republican reached out to Grush, connected him to the House Oversight Committee, and helped facilitate the string of public hearings which have revealed shocking evidence of alien encounters from respected military officials. Most of the current evidence has taken the form of images and videos of alleged non-human craft captured by both civilians and military personnel. Many have been leaked to the public after being classified by the Pentagon for years. Burleson himself revealed never-before-seen video of a U.S. military drone striking an orb-shaped UFO with a Hellfire missile during a September 2025 UAP hearing. The shocking footage from October 30th, 2024 revealed that the unidentified craft not only survived the missile strike, but continued to fly away at extreme speed as the 100-pound air-to-ground precision weapon simply bounced off the UFO's hull. So that's crazy, guys. He shared footage this past fall, of a Hellfire missile just bouncing off of this UFO. But if you're not aware of who David Grush is, he was the guy who worked for the DOD, and he said that there were alien biological specimens that the U.S. has, okay, biological parts, okay, alien body parts. So very interesting. And then we also have this audio clip of Lara Trump talking about this whole situation. I want you to hear what she had to say. She got a question from a viewer about this, and listen to what she has to say.
Next question. What do you or the president know about UFOs? Can you share? I hear that the president has something in the queue to share with us about all of this. Now, truth be told.
Okay, so she clearly says, I hear the president has something in the queue. So I think we're going to hear it maybe this year. Trump's probably going to disclose information about UFOs. And the U.S.-based Kratos Defense and Taiwan's military have successfully tested a new jet-powered attack drone. But that's the latest breaking news that I have. Also, I wanted to mention that we did hear a bunch of antenna tuning on the primary U.S. nuclear war frequency this afternoon. They typically do that before some kind of big military operation. They tune their antennas to make sure that all the stations have, properly functioning radio systems. We've heard that before with Maduro, right before we went after Maduro, and prior conflicts where we struck the Houthis, and when we bombed the Iranian nuclear sites, they did the same thing. So we have to be on high alert. We could potentially see strikes on Iran as soon as this weekend. So make sure you're following me and tune into my 24/7 live stream for updates throughout the day. Make sure you have notifications set up. Hit the bell icon down below. That's how you do that. And click all so you get all notifications. Also follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is at NYPrepper1. You can also download my free app from the Google Play Store. The link is in the description down below. It lets me send out emergency messages directly to your phone, and also to notify you when I go live or when I post videos. But I might be back later on tonight around midnight Eastern time to do some live coverage. And I hope you guys enjoy your evening. We have the Olympics opening ceremony tonight. And until later on, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps. Prepare, practice, and persevere. And this update was sponsored by EMP Shield. Guys, EMP Shield has created a special discount just for you, the listeners of the NYPrepper channel. If you go to empshield.com and use the promo code NYPrepper, you can get 15% off your entire order. And why do you need an EMP shield? Well, this is a special device to protect your vehicle, your RV, your solar generators, your radios from an electromagnetic pulse, which could be caused by a solar flare or potentially a rogue country like North Korea detonating an electromagnetic pulse weapon over the United States that's mounted onto a satellite. So protect your vehicles, protect your RV, protect your radios, protect your generators with an EMP shield. Use my promo code NYPrepper to get 15% off. Installation is super simple. This is a veteran-owned business, 100% American-made, and the EMP shields have been tested by the military, okay? And free shipping is included to the entire continental United States. And the link and the promo code are in the description below this video.